Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. About 6 topics for this video, and that is first one, and I think the most important one, is the Ukrainians are ready to talk peace with Russia, and that could be brokered by China. If you remember, the foreign minister of Ukraine, Mr. Kuleba, currently is in China discussing certain proposals with his counterpart Wang Yi, the foreign minister of China. And Kuleba said that we are ready to talk to the Russians, but Russians don't want to talk to us. Well, I will show you the statements from Kuleba in China, Zelensky's statements regarding the peace talks, and the Russians' answers regarding to all those statements. That's the first one. Second one, the commander-in-chief of the military in Ukraine, I think he's Oleg Syrsky, he's Russian. He says that he has a plan for Crimea, and they will take Crimea. I will show you what he tells us about the Ukrainian plan to recapture Crimea. I have 2 articles on that. Then we have some Russian attacks overnight on the 25th. Is it 25th? 24th. On the 23rd to 24th, so last night, on Odessa and Kharkiv. On Odessa, the Russians attacked Ismail port, and the Romanians issued an air raid alert. And they got the F-16s ready to attack the Russians. I will let you know what happened in that department. So let me see what else is here. Kharkiv, all right, Russians and Americans. No, American-made F-16s provided second-hand to the Romanians. Were ready to attack, I don't know, maybe the Russian drones. All right, so let's start with the beginning. I have one map as well. I think very important developments, especially the one with this piece of news coming from Reuters. Ukraine tells China it is open to talks with Russia if Moscow acts in good faith. Well, let's unpack this a little bit. Who did not want to implement the Minsk agreements? Was it Russia or was it Ukraine? Well, it was Ukraine. So who acted in bad faith? Remember when the Minsk agreement, I'm talking about the second one in 2015, were signed with the with the Germans and the French. Remember, they were the guarantors. That became international law because it was sent to the United Nations. So there was a legally bonded document. When the Ukrainians said, we don't like anything about it. And then remember, Hollande and Merkel, the ones who signed that, they said in interviews about a year ago, we had no intention of implementing that or helping Ukraine to implement that. It was just a means of arming them more for the Russian unprovoked attack. So who has more reasons to doubt the good faith? It's like you have a conversation with, let's say, I'm just saying, let me give you this example. So let's say you cheat on your wife or on your husband, and then the other side wants to get clarification, even though at that point you should say bye-bye and no clarification needed. But nevertheless, let's say you want to discuss the clarification. What's going on? What did you do that? What's going on? And he or she, the ones who did it, will say, you know what, I'm not going to talk to you because you don't talk in good faith. I'm not going to discuss that with you. Fuck off. How about that one? So the same here. The Ukrainians think that the Russians, we want to negotiate, we want to talk, but the Russians, I hope they're gonna negotiate in good faith. Who are the ones who left Istanbul peace talks in April 2022? Was it the Russians, or was it the Ukrainian delegation when Boris Johnson, then the Prime Minister of Great Britain, landed in Kiev the next day and everything was done? You. So, all right, just so you know, these are facts, are not interpretations, are facts. Now, let's move back. The next article. Ukrainska Pravda, Ukrainian foreign minister who visits China, says Russia is not yet ready to negotiate in good faith. Remember, the cheater tells you the victim in the relationship. Let's victim as it is, because it's not always good and bad. It's in between. I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm just giving you the example. Why I give you this example? Because that could go straight to the point. Instead of giving something abstract, some people can relate to this example. Well, I'm not going to talk to you, honey, why I cheated on you, because I don't think you act in good faith. I don't think you are ready. First, you should not even talk. You just do what you do best. Divorce, bye, see you never. The same here. The Russians say, you know what? Fuck you, actually. I'm just going to go and take over Ukraine. All of it. So, okay. All right, so this is just a way of saying we're good, they're bad, because we say they're bad. And we say we're good. We identify as good. Next. We're going to go to the new voice of Ukraine. Ukraine shows readiness for talks with Russia. Backs China's stance on Taiwan, Chinese Foreign Ministry said. So it's ready to talk to Russia. And what gives in return? Backs China's stance on Taiwan. This is just temporary. But nevertheless, it should, because if it doesn't back China and in Taiwan issue, then how can you claim you want Crimea back and all these things back? When those guys voted through referenda, two of them, one to break away from the illegal government of Ukraine, because remember, it was taken over by I would say traitors who overthrow a legitimate government, a democratically elected government, with the help of outside agencies. I think they are traitors. But if you find a different definition, let me know. And if it's a good definition that you like, imagine you reverse the roles and see if you're gonna like it then. And I guarantee you not. So then everything that came after that, the guys voted in office in Ukraine were not voted by the whole Ukrainian nation. Therefore, it was kind of like illegitimate. Nevertheless, so there were two referenda, and the Crimean says, you know what, we're going bye-bye. We want, first, outside of this garbage. Second, we want to join Russia. Unlike Kosovo, remember, Kosovo, it was the parliament who said we want independence, not the people. All right, but Kosovo was fantastic move. Yeah. But these guys, no. So obviously they cannot support Americans in Taiwan. Taiwan separate and so on. Why? Because they're gonna have a lot of countries, I'm talking about Ukraine, surrounding Ukraine, like for instance Poland, Hungary, Romania, Russia, who says, wait a minute, we claim territories in your little thing that you call Ukraine. Territory they were taken from us and given to you. All these countries, Poland, Lviv and that area, even go to the Lithuanian-Poland Commonwealth. We was what, in the 15th century? In 15th century, 16th century, and then, it was until the Black Sea. All that, they say, that's ours. The Hungarians claim Zakarpattia. Remember? That's the northern part of Romania. Romania claims Bukovina and Moldova and part of Bessarabia that is still in Ukraine, taken by Stalin, the Georgian, not the Russian. Crimea was given to Ukraine by whom? By Khrushchev, Nikita Khrushchev. I think he was half Ukrainian. All these things were given to Ukraine, was formed by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, the Russian Soviet Union, created a big Ukraine, and now they are biting the hand that made them great again. Anyway, so here it is. Obviously, these guys will back China for now, because the master, which is the United States of America, will tell them now, okay, the show is over. Now you can say what we tell you to say. Next one, we talk about the Russians now. What or how they view this willingness coming from the Ukrainians to have peace talks. So here is an article from Sputnik. Ukraine signals willingness for peace talks with Russia. That's great. That's great. I think this is from Istanbul. A picture from Istanbul. Yeah, that's the Turkey's flag over there. So Ukraine is ready for negotiations with Russia. And I'm quoting, the Ukrainian side is willing and ready to conduct dialogue and negotiations with the Russian side, end quote. Great, excellent news. Kuleba was quoted as saying by Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Mao Ning. And I'm quoting, you and I really know from reports from Beijing that such a statement was made at a meeting with Wang Yi. The message itself is in unison with our position, Peskov told reporters. So the Russians are good with that. Good. And I'm quoting, you know that the Russian side has never refused negotiations, as has always maintained its openness to the negotiation process, Peskov says. So why do you think that is? Why do you think the Ukrainians might say we want peace? Well, I think they're pummeled right now by the Russians, and with all the help from their masters, they can't keep the Russians, and they're just retreating. So I think they're buying times, and I think the Russians should be the ones that would, if you give them a cold drink, should first and then drink it, even if it's cold, to make sure it's really cold with these guys. We call it in Romania sufli yaurt, shin yaurt. That is, you blow even in some cold drink, milk, cold drink, because you've been burned so many times by these guys. But hey, the Ukrainians are the victims here. Yes, they are the victims, but they point the finger at the perpetrators, at the suspects as being the Russians, where actually is the guys behind all this shit. Next one. Russia Today. Ukrainian foreign minister says Kiev ready for talks with Russia. Excellent, China says. Dmitry Peskov says negotiations should be rational. Well, that means you should accept the realities in the field and seek to achieve lasting peace, according to foreign ministry in Beijing. I tell you what that would be. NATO out, really out of Ukraine. The Russians, let's say out, but they will have to control Ukraine because of what NATO did, expansion, and entered a, neutral country, which was Ukraine. Entered a neutral country that was discussed and agreed in 1994 in the Budapest Memorandum, assigned, will be neutral. But neutrality was broken by imbecile George W. Bush in 2008 NATO summit in Bucharest, when he said, one day Ukraine and Georgia will join NATO. And Putin was like, what? These guys want to destroy us. Let's go. It's only rock and roll. Man, I'm dying here. So I think if the Russians will not allow the Westerners to have troops or observers in Ukraine, Ukraine will be Russophile right now, like Russian owned. I don't know how many troops they will have over there, but the Russians will control. Sorry, it's not going to be again, we're friends, we're going to be objective. No, we take it and we tell you how things will do. And the Ukrainian nation, unfortunately, should pick their Ukrainian leaders wiser. All right, next one. And this is Russia responds to Zelensky's proposal for talks. This is according to Russia Today. The Ukrainian leader is capable of lying, oh no, shit, everybody's capable, and may simply be trying to promote his peace formula, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova says. So Vladimir Zelensky's signal that Ukraine is ready to resume peace talks with Moscow is not credible. Well, these guys don't believe you, the other guys don't believe you, obviously. In recent weeks, Zelensky has said that Kiev wants to end the conflict as soon as possible. Well, I want peace too, but on my terms. That's why when you hear people, why can't they don't want peace? I want peace. Yeah, because you want peace on your terms. And the terms that you want and your own peace are not advantageous to the other side. That's why they don't want peace. It's not that they are warlike. No, the conditions for peace are not acceptable for the other side, as they would not be acceptable for you if they would say, okay, it's like you and I. Let's say I want your house, but you don't want to give me your house. I would attack you. You're going to fight me, and I'm going to say, all right, see, he doesn't want peace, but Emil still wants your house. So the terms are like this. I take your house, and then we're going to have peace. And you say, no, shit, no. See, you don't want peace. But would I like it the other way around? Of course not. So, as Napoleon Bonaparte said, I'm a man of peace. I like peace, as long as it's done on my terms. So whenever you hear these guys, those guys over there, they want peace. What's going on with the Arabs in the Middle East? What's going on with the Palestinians? They don't want this. They want to attack. They say this. Well, why? Maybe the terms are not acceptable whatsoever. And the other ones are always want peace. And the other ones are always the victim. Perpetual victims always are the victims. And always in self-defense. Why? I got your house and you want to take it back. And I'm in self-defense because you attacked me wanting back your house. So, all right, that's the way you should look. You should look in that area. So, of course, they don't trust one another. So, and I'm quoting here. Everyone knows perfectly well that this is a man who can twist anything, who can lie, who can refuse anything. Well, he's part of the perpetual victimhood, so a club. What do you want? He has to be capable of that. He has to be capable of dealing in the bazaar. So in the bazaar, rarely things are okay. You see this little paper, how much you want for it? You say, well, I give you 50 cents. I want $1. No, 50 cents. Okay. And let's say at one point you say, okay, I'm going to give you, let's say 75 cents, 75 cents. That's in between. Why? But in a bazaar, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to say, this is $1,000. And you say, no, it's 50 cents. No, $1,000. And I'm going to try to lie to you, to fool you, so you can pay me $1,000 or more than 50 cents. And after that, after a while, you realize that I fooled you. I would say this was tapped by, I don't know, Jesus Christ. And here it is. This is the evidence because it's still wet. All right, here it is. And you go, oh my God. And then you realize it was not. So I lied to you. And I sold it on $1,000, something that you would have paid 50 cents. All right? I don't know what you heard about me. All right, so we bring 50 cents in here. So here's the same thing here. The same thing here. A bazaar mentality is I fool you, you buy it, and that's it. It's not an agreement. You say, well, it was mutual agreement based on a lie. So this is Zelensky style, my friends. So let's move to the next topic, which is Syrskyi, the Russian general of the Ukrainian armed forces, tells us that plans to take over Crimea, he calls it liberate, Crimea. Anyway, if that's the case, Romania should liberate the serpent, or the snake island, or Basarabia, Bukovina, and so on. But you know how it is. He says he has the plan how to liberate Crimea. I want to hear it, Syrskyi, definitely, and I'm going to share it with you here. But hey, don't get your hopes too high. Ukraine has feasible plan on how to get Crimea back. Ukraine's commander-in-chief. Let's go, man. I want to hear that. Let's go. Here is Syrskyi. Alexander, I was right. Here's Alexander Syrskyi, commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, has said that Ukraine has feasible, workable, right, plan to get Crimea back. Shoot, mister, shoot. And I'm quoting. He said Kiev had a plan, quote from The Guardian, to get back Crimea more than a decade after Vladimir Putin illegally annexed it. Now it was a referenda, so the free people's direct expression of willingness. What was this really feasible? It's realistic, of course. It's a big military secret. All right, so this is the plan. It's a secret. It's a big military secret. Let's see. Maybe he's going to tell us. I'm talking like Biden now. Syrskyi added that the Ukrainian armed forces will do everything we can to reach the internationally recognized borders of 1991. Why not 1953? I would go to 1953. You know why 1953? Because in 1953, Crimea was part of Russia in the Soviet Union. But in 1954, Mr. Nikita Khrushchev just said, I'm going to give it to my Ukrainian friends right there. And Ukraine says, ooh, thank you very much. Right? Now you can say, well, a deal is a deal. How far do we, if that's the case, then I don't want to hear anything about the settlements in the United States of America. Saying, oh my God, this is a stolen land. What? Yeah, okay. All right, America is recognized, legally recognized as a country, so off. How about that one? Oh, no. We have to do some mental gymnastics now in order to make it work for this, but the same thing should not apply to those. Right? Crimea, remember, 2 referenda. Kosovo, no referenda. But Kosovo is recognized by almost half, a little bit more than half of this planet, about 100 states, countries on this planet out of 193, 94, depends on who's losing and who's winning. There you go. So that's recognized. But these guys that conducted referenda, come on, Emil, you can't be so naive not to realize that was under the Russians. Bring me the evidence. Bring me the evidence. And Kosovo was not. Right? Kosovo was not. All right. Move on. So here it is. When Ukraine vote for independence from the USSR. Great, excellent, fantastic. We have to win to liberate our citizens who are in the occupied territories, who are suffering. How? Bombing them? Is that how you do it? And remember, and I remember, keep this in mind, if, and I don't think it will happen, but let's say it happens, the Ukrainians, NATO, let's say gets Crimea under its jurisdiction. What do you think will happen? I tell you what's going to happen. Probably half of Crimea's, or maybe even more, of Crimea's population will go over that bridge called the Kerch Bridge, if it's still intact, and will go away. Why? Because when these guys come over, they're gonna a lot of people, SBU, is that SBU? Or SBU is the Russian, SSU, whatever it is. The secret police of the Ukrainians will come and them out. I guarantee you that. So yeah, we'll liberate white. How many people want to be with you? When you're going to do a referenda there, why should I trust your referenda but not the Russian referenda? Oh, because you are the good ones, said the Americans. All right, bullshit. Let's move on. Let's see what does this guy has to say. Alexander Sirski said that he knows how to defeat Russia. Good. I would like you to show me, because in reality you don't show me you know. And I'm quoting, but I know that we will win. Okay. Is that a false sense of strength? I know how I have to do it, and I'm sure that we will do it. Good for you. Next article. Ukrinform, the same Sirski, says liberating Crimea realistic. It's realistic. It's possible. It's possible. As always, I work in probabilities and possibilities. Possibilities. Is it possible? It's possible. It's probable? Not so much. I would give, I don't know, 1% that there will be. Why? The Russians have nuclear weapons and they will use them if they're losing. Unless you are capable of, within 2 hours, eradicate about, 1,000 people in the highest positions in Russia. And even though you will not be able to do it, why? Because the second tier echelon of these bureaucrats will queue up. So it's kind of impossible. But it's possible, all right, but not probable. All right, let's move on. Next we have Ukrainska Pravda. Powerful explosions rock Kharkiv. Mayor reports 5 strikes and large fire. So let me show you where Kharkiv is. Kharkiv is right here. This is the Oblast. This is the Crimean Peninsula down here. So this is the Kharkiv Oblast or Kharkov, and here is Kharkov, the city. So this is where the bombardment and the new offensive occurs. Let's see if I get it. Right. Here is right here. So the Russians are attacking the city of Kharkiv once again on July 24th, today. And sounds of powerful explosions were heard in Kharkiv. Be careful. Ooh, okay. It says here, this guy reported the 5th strike on the city since the beginning of the day, and it once again targeted the industrial area. Details about casualties and damage are still being clarified. We're going to remain with Kharkiv here. This is according to Ukrinform. Russian missiles hit infrastructure facility, singular, in Kharkiv. Fire broke out at an infrastructure facility in Kharkiv after a Russian missile strike on Wednesday, today. This is according to Mayor Papapap, the guy that I used on the other one. An infrastructure facility was attacked with missiles. There is a massive blaze at the impact site. Oh, so there was a hit. Casualty and destruction reports are being verified. Okay, next one. Now, Russian morning attack on Kharkiv Oblast, stable on fire, industrial building, and 5 car damage. Photo, popo. And we're gonna go now to more important things right here. The new voice of Ukraine. Why more important? Because this is more important strategically, I would say, than the Kharkov, which that has been happening for some time already. Russian drone attack hits port infrastructure and apartment building, injuring 3 in Odessa Oblast. Odessa Oblast, where are you? Right here. This is Odessa Oblast, right here. This is, remember, this was part of Romania, of the Bessarabia, now it's called Moldova, but it's still in Ukraine. And the Serpent Island is right here, where my strong hand is. Those need to go back to the owner. So Odessa Oblast right here. Let's see, where were we? Right. So let's see what happened in that. The drone attack caused significant damage to the port infrastructure. A 5-story residential building was also hit with windows and the facade suffering damage. All right. Several port infrastructure buildings were destroyed by the Russian attack, igniting a fire. 3 cargo trucks were also damaged, Odessa government reported. All right, and here it is. A drone attack on Ukraine port infrastructure triggered alarms in Romania. Romania stand down. Explosions were heard in the Tulcea county earlier on July 24th, reports indicate. Tulcea, all right, let's see where Tulcea is. Brăila, Tulcea, and this area right here. Because Tulcea is here, this is where the Danube flows into the sea through 3 little arms right here. Sfântul Gheorghe, Sulina, and what's the other one? Sulina, Sfântul Gheorghe, and what the hell? Chilia. Huh? All right, there are three of them. So Ismail, the Russians attack Ismail right here, and Tulcea is right here, the Romanian side, and the Romanians scrambled their F-16s. So let's see, where were we? So triggered, pop, pop, pop. The overnight Russian drone attack also targeted other Ukrainian oblasts. On strike hit an industrial area, causing 1 fatality in Kharkiv. We already did it. Air defense systems operated in Kiev Oblast. Next one. Ukraine form. Russian drones attack Ismail at night. Ismail, as I showed you, is right here. This is the port across from Tulcea, and this is Galați. This is the Danube River. Here is where they go in 3 arms, and 2, and then in 3. And they go like this. Cuts Romania in 2 here. Go like this and go like this. All right, let's see. As a result of a nighttime massive attack by Shahed-type kamikaze drones in the city of Ismail, Odessa region, the port infrastructure was damaged and a 5-story residential building was hit. So that's exactly what I said before. At night, Russian attacked the Ismail district again in violation of the existing rules and customs of war. Okay, Russia deliberately carried out a massive attack with UAVs. Shahed kamikaze, which damaged the port infrastructure in the city of Ismail. And now, there you have the strong Romanians. Ukrainska Pravda. I'm not saying the Romanians should not have done what they did here, but I'm afraid they will be ordered to create an incident where they will shoot inside Ukraine Russian drones accidentally to see how the Russians will react. And that's going to be the incident. And then the Russians, if they say then the Russians will do it again, the Romanians will do it again often and often and often. And they will say, well, it was an accident again. Until the Russians, I don't know, destroy a few things over there across the border, will not put NATO and Romania on back the fuck off. They will try to push their, they always try. And then the Poles will do the same thing. Wait. They receive clear orders to poke the bear, and I hope the bear will let them know that you can't play with this shit. So, Romania's F-16 fighter jets took off overnight because of threat of Shahed over Danube. Now, let's have this. You have 2 F-16s. Let's say, how are the F-16s going to hit the drones? With some missiles, rockets? How many they have? 2? 4? What if, let's say, are 10 drones? How are you going to destroy them? Are you going to go, is that how you're going to get it? Maybe. On the night of the 24th of July, 2 F-16 fighter jets took off in Romania in connection with Russian kamikaze drone attack on Ukraine ports on the Danube, which are separated from Romanian territory only by the river bed. The Romanian Ministry of Defense reported that in connection with another Russian attack on targets in Ukraine, it has increased airspace monitoring measures. Good, you should do that. And I'm quoting, at 2:19, that's AM, 2 F-16s of the Romanian Air Force took off from the airspace of Borcea to monitor the situation in the airspace. The fighters returned to the airbase around 4:20, so they've flown for 2 hours, the statement said. The ministry also announced that it would send a team to the village of Plauru on the opposite side of Danube near Ismail to research for wreckage of downed drones that could potentially fall on Romanian territory. The research will continue throughout the day. So Plauru, Jesus Christ. Plauru is set across from Ismail. So Ismail is here. And that is how far this goes. So probably right here or right here on this area. All right, and this is not the last article. This is the last article from Ukrinform. on 24th of July 2024. Romania issues air raid alert amid Russian drone attack on Ukrainian drones. The Romanians are playing with fire. I'm not saying the Romanians or the Poles should not get their air defenses ready in case a missile crosses into your airspace. You should do that 100%. But if you shoot it preemptively on someone else's airspace because it coming your way, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Why? Because it's like someone coming towards you. How long before you're gonna get your pistol out to defend yourself? When he is at 100 yards away from you? When he's at 50 yards from you, or meters? When he is at 5 meters? When he is at 1 meter? So he comes towards you. When are you gonna say, I'm gonna defend myself? Back the fuck off. And when are you going to, let's say, defend yourself? How far? Are you gonna wait for the guy to grab you, to get his pistol out, maybe his ta-ta-ta out? So the same here. Don't give me that shit. But nevertheless, they have the right of self-defense of their territory, not other countries' territory. Otherwise, the Russians can claim that they have interest in Ukraine and they can defend, as they did, right? Because the other guys were massacring their ethnical Russian people and troops in Donbass. It is noted that a warning has been issued by the Romanian alert system in the north of Tulcea district as several drones were spotted flying toward the border. Good. It is also noted that there were 10 calls to the emergency hotline 112 as residents heard explosions. At 3:46, the air raid alert was cancelled. In addition, 2 Romanian fighter jets, F-16s, took off to monitor the airspace. Very good, very good. All right, so will we have peace in Ukraine? Either way, it can be a perpetual war like in George Orwell's 1984, because people die, resources, people change their mind, people are losing and people are winning. Thank you very much for being with me again today. But it's a good start. It's a good start. And I hope they will discuss. But I think the conversation should be held between the Americans and the Russians, not the Ukrainians and the Russians. Because if the Ukrainians do anything, the Ukrainians, the guys in charge of Ukraine, supposedly their names, Zhmyhal, Zelensky, Stein, Umerov, and Syrskyi. Syrskyi is not, because he can be fired like Zaluzny, just like this. And I should not never forget Yermak, all right? One of the original 4 little pigs of Ukraine. Why little pigs? They're all from the same victimhood group, perpetual victims. So the guys in Ukraine will do whatever the other guys in charge of them will tell them. So the Russians should just bypass these figureheads and speak with the Americans. But the Americans are still, some interests are making a lot of profit. Therefore, no, not yet. And the Ukrainians still have Ukrainians to die for their motherlands, not knowing that actually they die for those interests. That's what bothers me the most. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See you later, my friends.